God has made all of us different, but the same. Mm-hmm. And so all the gifts that we show as children are an expression of God.
Mm-hmm. Take notes, pay the line. Hey, you win.
What success is to me is to be able to work continuously, to be recognized by casting directors and directors.
I'm sorry about earlier. You're right. Compared to what these people are dealing with, this is...
You don't need to apologize.
If I can trust myself, once I get the language, it comes through the body.
Each time he's using a different identity.
Ideology?
No political or religious affiliations. His only God is money.
Kind of like driving for the first time.
Right.
You veer too far to the left, you veer too far to the right. Eventually, you start to find the lane.
The sweet spot. What's up, guys? Welcome back with another episode of Breakthrough. If you guys haven't subscribed, check us out on Instagram, TikTok, Spotify, Apple Podcast. Make sure to do so because we're always like dropping some bombs and having some really amazing guests for you guys. So, but guys, without any further delays, I want to introduce to you guys someone who is very special, someone that we've been trying to get on the pod for the last week or two, I would say, but you know, he's been a hard catch, but we finally got, you know, to get a hold of him. So I'm really happy for him to get here. Abraham Asto, everyone. Let's give him a big welcome. So, brother, well, thanks for joining the pod. Thanks for coming on, man.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah. I mean, I know we've been having some issues trying to make this work, but you know, we finally got this done. So I'm really happy to have you on. So I don't know if you had like a chance to kind of look at the podcast a little bit, but this is called Breakthrough, and sometimes people wonder, like, sometimes people ask me, like, hey, Ali, like, why is this called Breakthrough? Like, what's the whole reason behind Breakthrough? The reason why I chose to call this Breakthrough is just because there's this misconception that, you know, like, oh, like, you know, I'm waiting for my break. I'm waiting for my breakthrough role or whatever. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's definitely like something that you want to work towards, like, you know, a big thing in your career. And I know we've been talking about this a little bit, you know, in the beginning before we started this. But I think it's also important because there's this concept in Atomic Habits where they kind of like talk about the small wins, like, you know, increments, right? Like small little increments will basically translate into a big change in your overall life. Right, so if you start going to the gym, right, and you're starting to lift weights at, I don't know, let's say like you're lifting like 20 pounds, by like, you know, you can try to like raise it by a pound every week or like every day or whatever, and then eventually you will hopefully, you know, lift 40, 50, 60 pounds or whatever. So it's all about small increments. So this concept is very also true with life, right, when we focus so much on getting something big on TV or like landing a big job, like a six-figure job, that it's also as important to appreciate what we already have. And every small little increments that we have is big, right? So again, right, so a breakthrough can be something as small as just really waking up in the morning and realizing like, hey man, look, I think I can do this. I can be an actor. Just that self-realization moment is a breakthrough by itself. So this is actually why this podcast is called Breakthrough. And we have anyone on the pod like you and I, or anyone who's really listening right now, to just show people that are listening that, hey, like you can do this too. Where like, just if I did it, if Abraham did it, if anyone do it, then that means that you can do it. All you have to do is just take action and start small and work your way up. So that's kind of like a quick overview of like why is this called, it's called Breakthrough. But yeah, man, so I'm really excited to have you. Why don't you take us through, because I know I kind of interrupted you a little bit. You were going to go on how you kind of got started. You know, take us through like back in Toronto, like where you started.
Yeah.
First of all, like, you know, what did you do before even, like, were you like doing acting? Like, were you born and then, you know, a few years later, like, you're like, you got thrown into like acting school? Take us through the whole thing to the moment where you like, you know, that led you to coming to Vancouver.
All right. So, you know, my family was really, being first generation Canadian, there's a lot of fear and anxiety coming to a country. My parents wanted the best for all their children, and a pursuit in the arts was not something where the best could be achieved. because the arts meant living in poverty. The arts meant struggle.
Yeah. It's a very common stigma that we hear a lot. Yeah.
And so that was perpetuated within my mind. Like, God has made all of us different, but the same. And so all the gifts that we show as children are an expression of God. And if it gets hindered in any way, it follows us through life. So I tried to express myself through academia, through school plays. When I went to university, I would do, university shows. But when I graduated, I decided I was going to stop acting. And I had a girlfriend at the time who knew I was passionate about it, and she kept pushing me towards it. So
love it.
There was a show in Toronto. It's also in the U.S. It's called Medieval Times. Do you know it?
No.
It's in the Cable Guy with Jim Carrey. He goes to Medieval Times, and it's
sick. Yeah.
But it's a dinner theater. It's in an old hockey arena. There's about 1,500 audience members per show, and you're eating dinner with your hands, you're riding a horse, you got knights battling. So I went into audition, and they're casting for a king and a princess, but I didn't fit any of those.
Interesting.
But the guy wanted to keep me on, so he auditioned me for the role of the Lord Chancellor, and I got that. I had hair down to here, I had a full beard. Yeah, it was pretty badass. And then
really very medieval, right? Like
really
with the
medieval.
long hair and like, the beard or whatnot. Yeah.
And then I applied to one theater school, and I got in, and that's been the journey.
Where'd you apply? What was the school?
George Brown.
Okay, yeah.
Before that, though, I was working in radio.
Okay.
Yeah, so I had a lot
broadcasting and stuff?
Yeah, broadcasting.
Sick.
More on the music side. So I was program managing at a radio station, and then after that, I went into on air. I was hosting live, and then I started doing the acting thing.
Love it.
So I gave that up.
So what led you to here? Why didn't you stay in Toronto? Let's hear it.
There's a few different things that I couldn't really articulate. I felt I was stagnating in Toronto.
Right.
I felt my soul was, I didn't know anything about Vancouver. I just knew Vancouver was the second industry hub.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't know it was like this, right?
Yeah. So you had no idea it was on the ocean, by the water.
No, I knew that.
Okay.
I just didn't know anything else about it. I didn't.
So you didn't know like how busy it was as far as like.
I didn't know how busy it was. I didn't know how beautiful it was. I didn't know how different it was. I just knew that it was the second Hollywood North. So I was stagnating in Toronto, but also I felt.
What do you mean by stagnating? What was happening exactly? You were not able to push through like bigger roles that you were having? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I was working in theater, and I got to travel across Canada, and I just, always vying for the role in the theater production. So I wasn't going up in life. I wasn't progressing.
From an acting standpoint or from all standpoints?
From all standpoints. So I felt life was pretty linear. I was working, I was doing whatever, and I was acting, but I wasn't growing. And I needed to grow. I felt that desire
growth,
within.
yeah, of course, yeah.
So, I didn't know that's what it was, though, at the time. I just knew I needed to move. So, so I came here. It was also to start all over again in a city where I didn't know anybody.
Love it.
And that
So when did you move here? What year?
2019.
Okay,
Middle
nice.
of 2019.
Yeah, we moved around the same time. I think I moved in late 2018, but yeah, roughly the same, yeah. Nice. And then you've been here since then?
Yeah.
So I know you spoke about difference, how different it was. Do you want to maybe walk us through this difference? Like what was it? What made Vancouver so different than Toronto? What did you notice that was really, really different in Vancouver that I guess you didn't really have in Toronto? Or maybe the opposite. Stuff that you had in Toronto that you wish you had in Vancouver?
I don't know how to address that today, because today I believe everything has to do with mindset.
Right.
But the way I saw it then was, in Toronto because I grew up there. I had family, I had friends, I had a very big personality. I made eye contact with people. I'd strike up random conversation with strangers, and in Toronto, people would reciprocate. You know, you can go to the beach and have a conversation with someone, and then, you know, it'd be cool. You know, sometimes they would invite you out. Yo, we're having a party tonight, or yo, this is cool, let's hang out.
Yeah.
You know, spontaneous connections happen that way.
Right.
And I carried that energy with me to Vancouver, and I would try random conversations.
I think I know what happened here, but yeah.
Yeah.
You must have noticed that how cliquey Vancouver was, and how difficult it is to kind of emulate that in Vancouver. I guess, I don't know.
I don't know if it was cliquey, but like I started to see that later. I sensed that there was a fear here. There's an underlying insecurity that, you know, just kind of closed people off.
Yeah.
And I was working at a restaurant that year. I was bartending there, and a lot of the guests would say the same thing. Oh, you're not going to like it here. You're not going to fit in. It's the third loneliest city in North America. Your personality's too big.
They talked you out of it?
Yeah. This was all before COVID. And I was like, what are you talking about, man? So I'd go outside and I'd intentionally engage in people.
Let me prove them wrong, right?
And I would see it.
Right. With your own eyes.
With my own eyes. I don't know if it's because they tainted my perspective or what. And then COVID came and people really shut down, and I shut down. So yeah, it's been.
Yeah, I mean, this is exactly what I meant by cliquey. It's just, I think you're spot on. Vancouver, I think it's a cultural thing. I noticed this is like a Western thing. I'm not sure about Alberta, but it seems like it is like a BC thing. But it's really, people grew up here. They went to kindergarten together. They went to high school together. They knew each other from a very young age. And for someone who is new in town, trying to make friends, trying to break into circles, and you know, trying to just like make connections, and you know, like really get by, really, right? So it's a bit harder because they, you know, they only like really, you know, they go in, you know, they go in circles, and they have these barriers kind of thing, where they don't let anyone in unless they kind of know them or something. So
yeah, sure.
You know what I mean?
And
it's kind of what I also sensed. Like, it took me a really long time to actually find a good circle of mine.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, and you know, people share the exact same experience, but also I've met some wonderful people on my journey here. I've grown because of the experiences I've had here.
Yeah.
I am who I am now because of coming to Vancouver. So coming here, it was all part of God's plan. And whether I end up having a big crew or just being on my own, it's the journey that I've been, I don't want to say destined, but it's the journey that's been written for me.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think I agree. It's just, you know, it's really what's in the cards for you, right, at the end of the day. And we're all on different journeys, right? And again, I feel like it's at the end of the day, it's just like you're looking out for yourself, right? Whatever brings you joy, whether that's, you know, finding more friends, or, you know, finding something fulfilling to do with your life, whatever like brings you joy is kind of what you should be focusing on. Very similarly, like in acting, when you should be focusing on your objective, right? Like, and letting go, you're always like focusing on one thing. I notice in life, you're always focusing on one thing at a time. When you start focusing on many things, that's where it sidetracks a little bit. But that being said, I mean, again, right? Like, I also met some amazing people in Vancouver. I'm not saying like, you know, that people in Vancouver are not nice or friendly. Like, I mean, they definitely are. I'm just saying the culture as a whole is a bit different from out east. You know, if you go to Montreal, you notice a huge difference.
Yeah, man.
Like, you go to Montreal, you speak to a stranger, like, they will literally invite you to their party, to their house. They'll be like, yo, let's go for drinks after. Like, it's just, they're so welcoming.
Yeah.
I don't know about Toronto, but I feel like it might be a bit similar. Like, I'm not sure, but I know Montreal for sure. It's like a very open city. Like, everyone is friendly. But Vancouver is like it's culturally different. Again, it's also like comes down to how people were raised. You know, like the education that you get in Montreal is not the same that you get here. You know, like people who go like, to give an example, right? Like if you go to high school in Montreal, like chances are you have in your class people from 5, 7, 8 different backgrounds. You go to high school here, I mean, again, I'm not saying anything, but from what I've seen so far, for the majority of people, you know, you might get like 1 or 2, 3 top people from different backgrounds. Right, so that also like speaks as far as like, you know, open people. You know, people, again, like we're usually attracted and towards people from our, like, you know, our colors or like our interests. But in Montreal, since people are from different interests, different colors, different backgrounds, you kind of have to really learn to coexist. And you know, I think that's ultimately what it is. Nice. So, what was your, like? I mean, when you moved here, were you like? Was your acting career kind of like already like at a level that you wanted it to be, or like kind of like? Would you say?
No, I mean, I don't think anyone's ever satisfied with where they are.
Right.
Right. And
right. So how many like bookings do you have under your belt? Were you just like starting out? Did you have like bookings and stuff?
No, I had done professional theater for quite a long time.
Right.
So I had a pretty extensive resume for theater.
Nice.
Just before I came to Vancouver, I booked a really juicy guest star that flew me out to Morocco in 2018.
Oh, sick.
So I was in Morocco. I had everything paid for.
Wow.
On my time off, I'd go to the coast and I tried surfing. I explored.
No fucking way, dude.
Yeah, it was
What
beautiful.
was the project called?
Blood and Treasure.
Blood and Treasure.
Yeah.
Nice. It was a feature that was filmed in
No,
Toronto?
it was a series.
Oh, it was a series. Okay.
Yeah, it was a
wow.
TV series. So I did that for 2 weeks and I came back and the paycheck was massive. And I thought, why would someone want to keep doing theater when they can do film and TV?
Right. Because you were not getting nearly as much in theater.
No, theater doesn't pay
Barely
much.
anything, yeah.
Even the A houses don't really.
Yeah, you spend so much time on rehearsals and stuff like
Well,
that.
that's a good thing. That's what's missing in film and TV.
Yeah.
When you spend your time, you spend 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's shorter now, but
Yeah.
you spend those weeks really getting into the character, really getting into the
Correct.
story. There's so much juice in it. There's
Yeah.
so much more life to it.
Right.
And with each performance, you're breathing with the audience. And so this is one of the things that I totally neglected when I came here. I thought, okay, I'm going to leave theater behind. I want film and TV. And then COVID taught me how much I love theater.
Right. Fair.
It's,
I mean, there's nothing. There's no experience like being in a theater. It's honestly a very unique experience to perform on stage. I mean, yes, at the end of the day, acting is acting, right? Like you got to act in a very naturalistic, organic way, whether you're on TV or on stage. But at the end of the day, like the feeling that you have when you're on set and when you're on theater, I feel like on theater is a little more rewarding. You feel like you're validated more as an actor. You're on set, you're doing a scene, there's a camera, there's a couple of crew guy, there's your scene partner. I mean, yes, you're doing.
you can say it's validation,
Yeah.
perhaps. I don't see it that way.
How do you see it?
So the last theater show I did was on the island. It was It's a Wonderful Life.
Nice.
Do you know the story?
No, Wonderful
Great,
Life.
oh man, it's a great Christmas film.
Nice.
From the 1940s. It's about this man, George Bailey, who gives up. Like he has these dreams of traveling the world, of being an explorer, of being an engineer, but he gives it all up because his dad has this small business and loan,
Right.
and he maintains it so the big bank and the monopoly in town doesn't destroy the entire community. So when his dad dies, he has to take his dad's torch unwillingly, and he gives up his life to serve this community, and he gives up this life to serve his family. Then something drastic happens at the halfway point where someone in his office loses a lot of money, and now he can go to jail, and now he goes into a frenzy. So he decides that he's going to kill himself so it doesn't affect his family and it doesn't affect the community, and he can escape it. But the entire time
Is it a Christmas movie you're saying?
yeah, it's a Christmas movie. But there's an angel watching him from the
Yeah,
onset, and he
right.
shows him what his life,
Yeah.
what life would be like if
Yeah.
he wasn't born. and it shows what impact one person has. So doing this show, every night, without fail, there were tears in the eyes of the audience, and primarily in the eyes of the men that were like 60 and over who had lived their lives. And to me, it said, you know, these are men that never got recognition for what they've sacrificed. Watching their story and seeing the impact that that had on them is what touched me every single night. Knowing that I'm part of that telling, that they can experience it and they can take it away and they can feel like my life has been recognized, my life has not been wasted.
Wow, what a story. And has this aired, you said, or it's?
No, it's theater. So
okay,
on stage.
You've done it? Okay, nice. Okay, got you.
But the movie was from the 1940s. So
nice. Okay. Nice. Sick. Well, that's amazing. That's really good. So again, just to go back to the original question, when you moved here, again, like you said, like I get that, right? Like you never I guess you're never really satisfied as an actor, you know, with your career until you reach a point where you are. So I guess, which begs the question is like, when will you be satisfied?
Well, that's the thing, man. And this goes into psychology as well.
Right.
When we keep reaching for externals, we'll never be satisfied.
Right.
I can get a nice big juicy role, and then that role ends. I'm going to need something else to fill it. I can buy a nice big car, but, you know, all right, I'll get rid of it at some point. I'm going to want something else to fill that void.
So are you saying that you will be satisfied when you book a role that never ends?
I'm saying I'll be satisfied once I find satisfaction within.
Right. Right. So that doesn't necessarily mean like having a lead show for like 7 seasons, right?
That would be nice.
It would be, yeah, of course, yeah. That would be great. Yeah, it wouldn't be that,
but what I'm saying is I'll always be searching for something unless I find fulfillment within.
Okay. Yeah. And that can translate into, you know, like smaller roles here and there to like a big one to, at the end of the day, it's however that makes you feel, right? Now, since we're on this topic already, I guess like let's talk about your end goal here, right? Like the dreams and the end goal. Do you see yourself like, I guess, like staying here like for the foreseeable future? Do you have plans to go to LA? Like, I mean, what's really the end goal for you here? Like, paint us a picture of like the finish line for Abraham. And I know that you said like, you know, like that feeling within where, you know, like you feel like you're there. But as far as like, you know, I guess like aspirations and things to look forward to, like paint us a picture of the finish line.
Yeah. So that's been evolving, changing. Before it used to be New York.
Okay.
You know, I wanted to live in New York and work in New York and be part of that big bustling city in New York. And then for a very, you know, it never really was LA. That was never the goal. Okay. And I don't think my goal has ever been to be a big movie star. My goal is, what success is to me, is to be able to work continuously, to be recognized by casting directors and being asked to be part of their production and their show. Being valued. And wherever that takes me. And so I don't want to say I want to move to LA or I want to move to New York, because I didn't intend on coming to Vancouver. Right. This is where God brought me. Right. So if I'm so myopic in my view, and this is where I need to go, I'm going to miss all the other opportunities that come before me that I'll never see. So ideally, I want to work consistently. I want to be reached out to by those that can create, but I also want to create myself. Okay. So that was my next, actually, I like it, So, you know, I used to do a lot of writing. I used to flow into these beautiful stories and poetry. And I wrote a short script not too long ago that was really inspired by the downtown east side about men's mental health, about the degradation of the mind and of society, and how there's abandonment and it just keeps happening. It's very unfortunate that, you know, the government, or I guess the city or whatever, does very little for what's happening. I guess, you know, like as you said, like, you know, having a voice to like, you know, having a voice for these people to,
show the reality like of things that not everyone has it all pretty and sunny like some people think. So
Actually, I don't believe anybody has it all
Yeah.
sunny and pretty.
yeah,
I think we're all suffering from one thing or another, and so many of us delude ourselves.
Yeah.
Whether we're taking the spiritual path and believe we're enlightened, or we have all this money and I'm fulfilled with this, but no, that's part of the human condition.
Right.
It's that we suffer, and
yeah. This whole life is about suffering, right? Like we're suffering in some way, shape, or form. Not a lot of people exteriorize it. The brave ones do. But it's important to recognize your pain points. And I really like the terminology pain point. It's something that we use a lot in sales and marketing. You will always hear this term pain point, where you're trying to solve a pain point. Again, the word speaks for itself. Like it's just, it's the pain that you have within that you're trying to solve, really, that you're trying to get rid of. Nice. So just because we're on the topic of directing and writing and whatnot. So do you see yourself kind of transitioning into this world later on, or do you want to do this simultaneously with acting? You want to be writing and acting at the same time, because I heard some people who want to act for the time being and they want to transition into directing or something, and we actually see this a lot within actors, even in Hollywood and stuff, where a lot of people just really they want to start directing, producing. Where are you on that? Where do you see yourself with that from that side?
I'd like to tackle them simultaneously.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't say I'm completely limited to one or the other. And to tell you the truth now, I'm really trying to be open in whatever path comes my way. So if I stay in this path and say I'm strictly going to be an actor, or I'm strictly going to be a creator, let's say this, God sends another opportunity for creativity my way, am I going to turn it away? I don't know. It's one of those things where I don't want to limit myself to a glass ceiling, because there's an abundance of everything in this world.
Right. Yeah.
And there's an abundance of opportunities if we see them, if we seize them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's really it's all about that. Also, I know we've been talking about this self-development journey that you're going through. Which I love. I feel like this is very important to have these moments in your life where you kind of check in with yourself and you see where you are, where you're at, and see if this is the person I want to be, is this the person that I thought I would be in a couple of years from now. So I guess in terms of in the realm of what you can share or what you think we should know, what are some things in that on that journey that you've learned that you think are beneficial, either for you, for people that are hearing, things that that maybe some people they're not conscious of.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So I'm looking to start a YouTube channel, and I'll start sending out some Instagram shorts as well. I'll create a new page for that. But
love that.
A lot of it is going to do with empowerment and insight from my own life. And the thing is, I mentioned this off camera, that we are all the same. Skin color aside, caste or levels in life, all those externals aside, on a subatomic level, energy level, on a wounded level, we are all the same. We are all walking wounded warriors, avoiding each other on the street, projecting. That's a Carl Jung term, where we project our insecurities, our pains onto others. So we're all the same, and the most basic wound that we all have is the abandonment wound, which is why we cling to things or we try to avoid things. And that abandonment wound starts before you're even, once you come out of the womb. You're in this cozy sack of a place where you have all your comfort, you have your warmth, you have the food, and then you pop out and you're disconnected. And then whether your parents give you all the love and the attention that they know how to give you or they don't, there's going to be a moment where even the love you should have wasn't received. And that translates into our future as adults. So we all carry wounds that are all the same, but they're all revealed in different ways. Yeah.
I love that. That's a very beautiful realization and statement. I think at the end of the day, we're all the same, right? Like, it's just really, no one's different. We all eat the same thing. We all do the same thing. We all breathe the same air. We all, right? So, right?
Yeah, man. And there's, I don't know if this is in the collective conscious now, but this idea of the world is a reflection. Like, your partner is a reflection of you. All the insecurities that you have, they will project at you, and vice versa. The people on the street, the way I see you or the way I see that person, it's a projection of the self. Like, we're all mirrors. We're all mirrors if we can see it.
I agree. I mean, there's also this concept of, like, opposites attract, the law of attraction, opposites attract. But at the end of the day, like, you cannot be fully like an opposite to the other person. We're also, like, very attracted to people with similar energies, right? Like, with similar interests, with similar tastes. Again, like, when I think about my friends and the people that I like to surround myself with, it's people that, like, I told you this before the podcast. I'm a very analytical person. Like, I analyze a lot, and sometimes even too much. But when I bring someone into my life as a friend or as a partner or whatever, I'm always, like, thinking, like, okay, like, this is what I want in my life, and this is what this is what I know. And when I bring someone into my life, it's because I'm trying to, hopefully, like, learn something from that person that I feel like is missing in my knowledge, in my book. And I feel like I wouldn't, like, want to be, again, like, I'm not saying, like, hey, like, you should not be friends with everyone, but also it's also important to have standards, because you're not going to get along with everyone. Not everyone's going to like your personality. Not everyone's going to think you're funny. These things are all subjective, and sometimes you can just feel these things in the very first few minutes of a conversation with someone. You're like, oh, I like the way this person thinks. I like the way this person, his sense of humor is very, like, I don't know, there's something about these behavioral things that attracts, like, certain people, if that makes sense. Now, I want to go back to acting a little bit, because that's kind of the main topic of the podcast. But it's always great to have some stories like that, some beautiful stories to share. We'll also make sure that, once you launch your YouTube channel, if you guys are into, like, self-empowerment, self-development, make sure to check out Abraham Asto when he launches his channel. I'm sure that a lot of great stuff that he's going to be sharing and enlightening for a lot of us. So for sure. So you've obviously been in the acting game for a very long time. So you've seen the industry evolve in many different ways. Now, when you tackle a new script, a new audition, right? Did you build, like, a system for yourself that works, like the Abraham Asto system of doing things? Like, do you go to, like, Stanislavski? Do you go to Meisner? Like, I don't know. Do you have, like, a specific method that you revert to as far as, like, that gives you, like, the highest booking rate? I guess.
It's so inconsistent.
I love that. What a great start. It's so all over the place.
Yeah.
The same thing never works twice.
So yeah, it just the way my brain works, it's just so.
Let's unpack it.
Yeah. So first thing I do is I read and I reread and I reread and I try to understand what the actual story is in the scene.
Like, what's happening? Yeah.
Obviously, I look at the Stanislavski things. What is the objective? What is the obstacle? Who is this person that I'm speaking with? And for me, language is really important. So even though for film and TV, language it's nothing. But what is being said carries a lot of weight. So I really try to embody it. And that's also the problem with film and TV, because you don't have a lot of time. You know, you have one day, maybe 2 days. So that embodying work can't really happen. Yeah, so I break it down that way. I break down the beats. I try to understand what's happening in each part. And then, yeah, pretty standard stuff, I'd say.
Nice. So you follow this so you read the script first, and then you basically start like analyzing and writing your goals and whatnot.
If I have access to the script, yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then from there, how do you develop the character? How do you know like the body language, the mannerisms, the voice, the accent, the clothing?
Right.
How do you figure all that out?
So right now, I have a contract, a theater contract coming up. It's different for film and TV versus theater. But I have a theater contract coming up where I'll play over 10 characters.
Oh shit! Wait, what?
Yeah, and we did this in It's a Wonderful Life as well. I played, I think, 13 characters.
Wait, I'm so lost. Like, what do you mean 13 characters? Like, at once?
Not at the same time, but throughout the play. So they all have different mannerisms, different voices, different accents, different ways that they walk, they hold themselves, different statures.
Yeah.
So how do I begin that process? Like, I just trust that it comes. So I'll understand, again, the person's position. Like, okay, I'll give you a story.
Yeah. Stories are always a good place to start.
I did a show called Test Drive out in Southern Ontario years ago. It was another one of those, it was a comedy, but it was another one of those I played over 12 characters. I didn't know what a Mormon looked like. I didn't know what a Mormon sounded like.
I mean, yeah, I would have to research this shit too. I totally get you on that, yeah.
Like, I didn't know. So when I started playing with the character, this really rigid, you know, tough, didn't know how to speak, hey, you know.
Right.
It was this really interesting character.
This is related to the Christianity, right? Like the religion or whatever? No? Or the...
No, I don't know.
The Tales
maybe
of
not Mormon, maybe...
The Tales of Mormon or whatever. I mean, I'm not sure.
The guys with the horses, they live...
Right, okay, anyways, yeah.
Pennsylvania Dutch, the ones that...
Right. Okay, I thought it was like a religious thing for some reason, yeah.
Well, yeah, religion is a big part of it.
Yeah.
There's a manner that they hold, that they carry. And I didn't know what it was. So I developed this character, I brought him on, it just naturally came through. And people loved it. That year, I was going camping into a part of Ontario that I hadn't been before, and I drove by an area that had these people, and I wanted to buy some eggs, and I wanted to buy some firewood. And would you know it, the character that I played came out to talk to me.
What?
The way he held himself, the way he spoke, the way he acted, his rigidity. A
copy paste of what you were?
It was exact copy of what I played.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was it better?
I couldn't see myself, but it was remarkable. I walked back to the car. I was in awe. I had my girlfriend at the time.
Did you tell the guy like, hey, bro, I just want to let you know I played you a couple months ago? Can you believe this?
But that's the thing. A lot of these...
Oh, man, that's funny, bro.
If I can trust myself, once I get the language, it comes through the body.
Right. So, do you experiment with that? Do you experiment with different versions of what you think of the character is going to be like?
I never.
You try different like voice pitches, different accents, different mannerisms.
Absolutely.
And you kind of, sense what feels the most right to you.
It's kind of like driving for the first time.
Right.
You veer too far to the left. You veer too far to the right. Eventually, you start to find the lane,
the sweet spot.
Yeah. It's the same thing. So at first, this doesn't sound right. Let's try something else. It's not coming out properly. Eventually, I start to find the middle ground. Right. And that's the beauty about theater and rehearsal. You have the time to do that.
No, that's great. I mean, it's really, really great. Now, I want to go back to the story that you had with I guess like your journey on getting your agent and the transition going from Toronto to Vancouver. Did you keep your Toronto agent for a while before switching? And when did you notice that you needed to switch? I know you said like you weren't getting anything because you weren't considered as a local yet, so that took a while.
Yeah.
Walk us through that a little bit. How did that?
So
Yeah.
I kept my agent for a half a year.
Okay.
And the reason I disconnected, I was never happy with my film and TV agent because they're from the same agency. But I really liked my theater agent. She was rough and ugly. And
Oh, you did have a theater agent in Toronto?
yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Like it's like literally not a thing here.
No, it's not. Theater is not a thing.
It's just there's like barely anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like she would even get me auditions in New York, which
Wow.
because I never had a green card, I could never.
Yeah, you can't do anything. Yeah.
But she would still get me those auditions. So I had an audition here. There's a 3-hour difference, right? So I had an audition here where I didn't know, but I got a call back. That night they reached out to my agent to give me a call back. She didn't get it to me until way past the time because of the 3-hour difference.
Right.
I don't know what the hell happened, but I was pretty upset about that.
Yeah.
So I called her and I told her what I thought, and she said, "You know what? This is not going to work." And I said, "Yeah, you're right. This is not going to work."
Okay, it was mutual.
So it was mutual.
Nice. And then from there, you started basically just like shopping for other.
Yeah. So it didn't take too long to find another agent, and again, I wasn't getting auditions because I wasn't considered a local.
Right.
And then I took a class, and the coach said, "No, you need to be represented by a better agency." So she connected me with hers.
I want to interject here and just say something real quick. How long it took for you to be considered as a local? A couple months? A year?
No, so you have to start paying taxes in BC, so it's a year. Yeah.
Okay, so during that year, you were pretty much not getting seen.
No, I was blessed. So
Because I was gonna say, if you knew that like you were not gonna be considered a local for a year until you start paying taxes, why didn't you try to get another agent in Toronto in the meantime, so you don't go out for nothing? You know what I'm saying?
yeah, so
Yeah.
So it took me a while to understand that I wasn't going to be called in until I had paid taxes. My agent at the time.
So you
didn't
knew
tell
that,
me.
yeah.
No, I didn't know that.
Oh, you didn't know that? Okay.
It took a while. For me
To figure that out, yeah.
because they didn't tell me.
Right.
So when I came here, within a month, I walked into an audition for the Arts Club, which is the big theater company here.
Yeah. A couple ones here. They're great. Yeah. They're a bit expensive, but they're great. Yeah.
Yeah, theater's expensive, man.
But especially here, man, Arts Club, like it's just. I have my friend Praneeth. He was like on Someone Like You. I don't know if you know Praneeth.
No.
Really good actor. The tickets were like outrageous, man. I wanted to go to see the play, but it was so expensive.
I mean, they have.
Not all of them, but the Arts Club, like in specific, it's also like a big one. Arts Club is really big. They have like 3 or 4 different locations, so they can justify, I guess, the higher price. But
But they spend a lot of money on the production as well.
Yeah, it's also depends on the production. You're
sounds,
right.
Depends
on the production. Yeah.
It's an expensive endeavor. So I booked, like, as soon as I walked out of an audition for a different show, the artistic director reached out to me and she said, "Hey, we have a role for you for a different show." And so, I was blessed. So I had a gig with that theater, and then I had a back-to-back gig with the other professional theater on the island. So,
so that kept you busy for a year.
Kept me busy for 5 months.
The time you needed to kind of
And I also had the bartending gig, which it wasn't what I wanted, but
it is what it is. You gotta suck it up sometimes.
Yeah. So I was okay. I still wanted the auditions, but I was okay.
Nice. Love that. And so right now, do you feel like you have Vancouver representation? Do you feel like you are at a stage, I guess now, or maybe in a future soon, that you might want to be looking for some American representation as well, or do you have some?
No, I don't. I need a green card for that, and so
Is this on your mind right now? Like making some moves on
Yeah,
that?
of course.
Yeah.
So I went to New York before I came here. I bought an open-ended ticket, and
Okay. Yeah.
I crashed their equity auditions there, theater auditions.
Nice.
And one of the last auditions I went to, the what is it? They have the casting director who's there with you, and he redirected me, and he said, "I love your work. I'd love to bring you on for a production we're doing after this show."
Wow.
Yeah, great. He looked at my resume and he said, "I don't recognize this agency." Well, I'm from Toronto.
Right.
Oh, okay. You're here because you have a green card, right?
Like, not really.
Yeah. So he said, "Look, I'd love to have you, but I can't do anything unless you have a green card."
So they were not offering some sort of
No.
sponsorship or anything?
No, for theater, they would not do that.
Yeah, it has to be like a big production with a lot of money.
Yeah, right. And that should have been a moment where I thought, okay, this is an opportunity. Let's apply for a green card.
Yeah, okay.
And I reflect on it, and
You wonder if you should have done it.
why didn't I do it?
Yeah, yeah.
But you can't.
But I mean, also like
because
you can't also just like decide to apply for a green card. You kind of have to meet the certain standards.
So I had.
It's easier said than done. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, yeah.
I had a lot. Like I had a lot of newspaper articles that had been written on me from the
Okay.
different productions that I had done. A lot of positive criticism.
Yeah.
So that would go in. There was, like I'm pretty sure I could have checked off at least 75% of the boxes.
Okay. Nice.
But my mind was, I think there's a self-sabotage element because, again, I'm not supposed to be working as an actor. I'm not supposed to be doing this. This is
Just happened. Yeah.
this is not what family wants. This is not what society wants.
Right. So there was these thoughts in your head
Yeah,
that were kind of like.
that held me back.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Fair enough, man. But look, I mean, everything happens for a reason, and it's not like too late. I mean, like you don't seem like. Not like you're super old or like it's too late or whatever. Like it's always time, man. But it's also important to have these things on your mind and have some sort of plan. Because I'm also looking for that. You know, I feel like I do want to make a move to the States at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, at least to get some representation. And that's not going to happen unless you have something like a no one or a green card. Again, these things are very, very hard to get. I mean, I guess that's probably the only selling point of Trump's plan, wanting to make Canada the 51st state. I think this is the only good thing that I can think of. We'd all become Americans. We would not have this problem. But again, I don't think this is good enough for of a thing to become the 51st state. But okay, I want to talk about polarized. Sorry,
Polarized.
Polarized.
Okay.
Polarized.
Yeah.
Because I did meet Maxine when I was in Montreal, believe it or not. And I didn't recognize the movie in the beginning. Yeah. And we were talking. Maxine is a pretty established actor in the East. On the East, Maxine Dennis. So shout outs to her. But I couldn't. When we started talking, because Maxine is also like she lived in Dubai, and then she. We're both from Lebanese descent, so we hit it off pretty good. And she had her break on Polarized, and I did notice that you played a big role on that, if I'm not mistaken. But also, now that I think about it, I did go out for the same role that you booked.
You did.
I did. I actually was spin for the role. I actually couldn't make the shooting dates. I had to let it go, but I'm glad you got it. So it's good. Take us through the project. It seemed like a really fun one. I mean, I did go back and watch a bit of the scenes because I believe you played Maxine's character's boyfriend on the show or whatever. Take us through the audition process for that, and what was it like to work on this? Because it's honestly a very beautiful story. It was a really it's a good story. I read it. Plus it's local, so that was nice. What did you think of the project? I mean, what was the audition process first like?
So the role I got wasn't the role that I initially wanted.
Okay, you applied for the other guy.
I applied for the other guy.
Yeah, that makes sense, yeah.
So I found out about the audition, and I pushed it forward to my agent, and I said, hey, this is the role I want to audition for. I can't remember the other character's name, but
right. I think Omar or something like that. Yeah.
No, that's the character I played.
Okay, so right, something like that. Okay, yeah.
So they responded, the casting director responded, okay, we'll have him read for this role and for this role. So I read for both. And then I got a call back for both.
Okay, nice.
And Omar was the role that they gave me. And it's certainly the better role because I got to access more depth. I got to play with more. He's a man who just really loves, he really loves his partner. He really loved Maxine, and you know, he does whatever he can for her, and he's a good guy. He's not your typical traditional Middle Eastern man. And then, you know, he experiences a betrayal where she no longer
Has feelings for him.
has feelings for him, and she has feelings for someone else, and she
Yep.
wants,
Yep. Yep.
yeah.
Nice. And then you auditioned for that here in Vancouver?
Yeah, it was all over Zoom.
Nice. I think I did the same too. I think they saw me for that, and I got the audition through my agent. I didn't like look anywhere. I just feel like because they were like looking for Middle Eastern people to cast. Yeah, it's just like I had something going on for the shooting day, so I'm just gonna make them. It's why I decided to like not, go any further.
So you're saying they gave you the role?
No, they didn't give me the role, but I think I was. There was like a callback, and then my agent said like, "Hey, like they really like you. I think you're being considered like, like what's your availability, why not?" And I was like, "Okay, cool." And I double checked my availabilities, and I just didn't work. But was it good? I didn't watch the whole movie. Did you watch the whole movie? Did you go back and watch it, or?
Yeah, I saw it.
Nice. What'd you think? Is it an accurate representation of what you thought it would be reading it?
I don't know. I don't know. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was a bit a long time ago. Yeah, nice. Cool. So before we wrap this up, is there anything you want to maybe share with us as far as like things? I know you talked about your YouTube channel that you're going to be starting, but again, it doesn't have to be acting related. Is there anything that you are looking forward to this year? Maybe some new resolutions or something that, maybe some stuff in the works even that you're working on that you can share, again, we don't want to get you in trouble or anything, but.
No, of course. So that short film that I'm going to direct, that I wrote. Nice. We're working on, I'm developing a team. So right now we're working on writing grants out, hoping to get a grant. I want to start this channel. I want to travel more. Continue to learn more about myself, about how I can heal so I can raise my vibration and the vibration of the people around me and the world. And
nice. Where do you think you want to travel to?
Well, let's start small. I want to go to New York, go back there. I really loved it when I was
there. Maybe reconsider the green card this time.
Maybe. I don't know if
Pick up where we left off.
I don't know if I'm going to crash auditions, but yeah, we'll see. And wherever the wind takes me, man.
Yeah, whatever life takes you. I love that. Nice. Well, great, man. It's been a pleasure to have you.
Yeah, man.
Such an awesome conversation. Very deep too. I like it. I like when conversations get deep sometimes. I feel like it's not always the case with guests. I kind of just like feel out the vibe with the other person, but I like that we got some deeper conversation about like self-development and stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode as much as I did. And yeah, thanks Abraham for coming on, and we'll see you guys in the next episode, and stay safe.